Ezekiel Okbole. Thank you for having me today. I would like to speak to a social trend that is becoming prevalent. Two phenomenal social trends that is becoming a trend. Now, you see, one of the biggest problem of the human person, the biggest problem we have is intelligence. I know this will hit you like a surprise, but think about it for a second. You will find that intelligence is our biggest problem. Now, humans, of all of God's creation, humans are the only species that we are blessed with a degree of intelligence that is different from every other creation. And that intelligence was given to us to help us navigate life and to set us higher and above all other creation that was made. And frankly speaking, we have deployed a bit of this intelligence in improving the human condition. And it is part of the deployment, the positive deployment of this unique dimension of intelligence that has brought about advancement in technology, advancement and progress in human living and human condition. The reason why we enjoy so much flexibility and convenience today is because a group of people or humans have employed and deployed their capacity to intellectualize. And that is why we talk about the spontaneous development in technology and growth generally. And this is fantastic, except that the liberality and the individuality of using that intelligence is now driving us towards creating aspects of life that we have no business creating or recreating. For instance, certain things are given to humans to create, but certain things are no-go areas. And because we have intelligence, and the blessing in a thing depends on its usage. But we are now beginning to tweak creation, and then we are trying to tailor it or suit it to fit our individual needs. And it is because we are the ones who have been given the gift of intelligence. That is why we are trying to alter a set pattern to create a new order of thinking and doing things, and then call it intelligence. And what I'm talking about precisely is the issue of what has now been scientifically referred to as sexual orientation. Lesbianism, homosexuality, and gayism is becoming prevalent. But when you look at it critically, it is our inhuman intelligence trying to play a fast one on us. For instance, when was the last time you see a male dog lusting after another male dog? Or when was the last time you see a cock chasing after a cock to mate? Goats, dogs, and every other animals understand the boundaries of their sexualities. But when it comes to humans, we are warped and confused about what it is that we should be doing or how it is that we should be doing. And you see, certain things are given to us and marked with boundaries. But we are trying to push the limits of those boundaries just because we have intelligence. And you see, intelligence performs two roles, basic roles, and which is the role of imagination and memory. Through the gift of imagination, which is a function of one section of intelligence, we are trying to recreate a process. And that process, unfortunately, is pushing the boundaries that was given to us. Some boundaries are given to us to maintain, not to break away from. And one of those boundaries is the boundary of our sexuality. And the reason why I say this is because when you look at all other creation that was made, only human is trying to deviate from the standard. But our intelligence is playing a fast one on us, so that we are imagining how things, or we are trying to imagine and rethinking what sexuality should be like. That our wild imagination is now making us to see that a male and a male can actually be in a marital union. A female and a female can actually have marital affairs or sexual affairs. But all of these things are extra-sexual, because this is not the set pattern. This is not the ordained pattern for life and living. But because human is given intelligence, now we are trying to rethink, we are trying to reimagine, and we are trying to break all of the walls that should serve as caution against what we should and what we shouldn't. And this brings me to a very important issue. It is power without control that results into tyranny. And tyranny happens when we fail to apply brakes to our emotions. So just because something is available or is given does not automatically mean that you do not have the responsibility of maintenance and management. It is the absence of control that turns power into tyranny. And that tyranny is a replication of what we now see in the human race called lesbianism, gayism, and homosexuality. It is humans trying to push the boundaries of sexuality. And that aspect, unfortunately, is not given to us to recreate or reimagine. It is rather given to us to maintain. But we do this and try to logicalize it with names and concepts like sexual orientation. In fact, some even say, I feel male inside, although I have a physical feminine expression. And some will tell you, I feel feminine inside, although I have a masculine physical expression. All these are nonsense. When was the last time you see a lion, a lioness chasing after a lioness to have sex with? Even a cock. It seems like all of these animals that are lesser than humans understand the memo of living. And secondly, it is the manifestation of this that is now resulting into what is now prevailing amongst the female folks as an ideal, portrait of beauty. And that ideal portrait is also now pushing ladies into doing what we call liposuction. Liposuction, that means physical enhancement of their contours. They go put themselves under very painful procedures and very hurtful incisions just because they want to look a certain way. An ideal portrait of beauty. But look at it critically. At the root of the desire to perform liposuction is actually a deep-seated feeling of self-inadequacy and low self-esteem. It is lack of self-confidence that pushes some women to go seek for bodily enhancement, putting themselves under. In fact, not just, even the pain of incision and the procedure is not even the issue. But the biggest is that some of them risk death just because they want to feel, they want to have a particular feeling. Just because they want to, and they call it body positivity intelligence again. The first one, they call it sexual orientation. We look for concepts and nomenclatures just because we are intelligent. We use those concepts to try to logicalize our actions. Now hear this: liposuction. We try to logicalize and justify the performance of liposuction and other bodily enhancement, and now we call them body positivity. We call it body positivity. But look at it. Since when did fake become more valuable than original? Since when does fake or artificial becomes more valuable than natural and original? But you see, we now prefer to have artificial behinds and artificial boobs just because we want to fit into a portrait of beauty. But like I said, the driving force behind such decision to go for a liposuction or bodily enhancement is actually a lack of will to deal with a deep-seated feeling of low self-confidence, inferiority, timidity, and low self-esteem. It is in a bid to fill that void of self-inadequacy that leads many women to go perform liposuction and all other kind of body enhancement just to appeal to a certain group of people. My question is, since when does artificial becomes more beautiful than natural? And since when does fake become more valuable than original? So you see, we prefer to have the fake buttocks and the fake boobs just because we want to impress, just because we want to feel a certain way, just because, unfortunately, many have not realized that the things that make you self-confident are more internal than external. I apologize. I'm not trying to take a slight at anybody. I'm simply trying to say that going the extra mile to do extreme things just because you want to fit in, you want to fit into an ideal image of beauty, is actually uncalled for, because there are millions of people out there who feel very beautiful and comfortable in their own skin, not because of what the society feel about them, but because they are okay and 100% satisfied with themselves. Beauty is beyond the physical appearance. Beauty is an inward expression of what you feel about yourself. It's an inward expression. If you have not dealt with self-confidence internally, every other thing you're doing externally is just a waste of time, because you will still end up spending so much, risking your life, going through all manner of procedures, and you still come back and start feeling even less confident than you used to be. And that's simply because self-confidence is not developed from what you have outside. It is in the nature of self-confidence to emanate from inside and then manifest outside. It is the need, the obsession for attention that is pushing so many people to seek for this liposuction and other form of body enhancement, just for them to have sexual appeal. You see why I say our intelligence is the biggest problem we have. It is this repugnant thought that is against all form of moral sensibility that we have now allowed to invade into our space as humans, and is now trying to corrupt what was originally designed to be. Animals understand the boundaries of their sexuality more than humans do. You know why? Their intelligence is enough to help them maintain what they know or what has been given to them to have. Animals have understand how to maintain the boundaries of their own sexual expression, but humans are still grappling and struggling to understand how to manage their own craving for sexuality. And we try to intellectualize, justify, and logicalize it by calling it sexual orientation. It is the absence of control that makes power tyrannical. And the tyranny is what we are now seeing today. Just because we have the tyranny is what we are now seeing today, simply because we have the power of individuality, the power of imagination, and the power of liberality. We now think that we are permitted to do everything and anything we want to do. And we call it, it's our life, it's my life, it's my life. You see, you must ask yourself, just because you have the capacity to do does not always mean you should do. This is where self-control comes in. Always asking yourself that the capacity to do does not automatically mean permission to do. Permission should come from vetting the process and vetting the pattern, because certain things are not given to us to recreate. Certain things are not given to us to reimagine. Certain things about life are just given to us to maintain. If you find yourself catching feelings and affection for another person, it is because you have been mentally colonized and manipulated through culture by a people, through practices and culture by a people to behave a certain way. It's not because that is the way. Our intelligence is given to us to use, however, to use within certain boundaries. And that boundaries include curtailing and controlling ourselves on what we should do and not do when it comes to sexual expression. Liposuction and the need to go for body enhancement and enhancement of body contours is actually a manifestation of low self-confidence, low self-esteem, and timidity. If you are able to deal with it, you automatically find that it is useless to travel through that painful process of incision just because you want to fit into an ideal image of beauty. The idea of beauty started many years ago in the United States of America, century ago, where an artist decided to carve an image of a lady that looked a certain height, had a certain shape, a certain shape of finger, a certain shape of neck, and a certain shape of face. And the artist carved that image and then decided to go on a search of a person, a real human female who fit into the detail of his artistic expression. Now, that search was so wild and far, yet there was no perfect person who matched the image of this artist. Only one person was found to be slightly different from the image that was carved by this artist. And so that person was rewarded in cash and was rewarded with several gifts for having almost looking like the artistic expression of this artist. It was from that moment that the human community inherited the idea of ideal beauty, so that beauty must be a certain way, beauty must be a certain height, and beauty must be a certain eye style, a certain finger shape. It was from this search, this artistic expression, that led to a search where one lady became the winner, not even because she was a perfect match, but because she was slightly similar in height and in shape to that figure. Since then, we inherited the image of what ideal beauty should be. And so we think beauty should be a certain way, beauty should look a certain way, or beauty should be a certain person. However, this is false. The truth is that beauty is you. You are beauty. There is no need for liposuction. Deal with your issue of self or low self-confidence and low self-esteem quietly. The reason why you are crazy about liposuction or body enhancement and you call it body positivity is because there is a deep feeling, there's a deep void and a deep feeling of lack of self-confidence and self-inadequacy that you have not dealt with. And you feel that having a certain shape will resolve the issue of your low self-confidence or low self-esteem. No. The issue of low self-esteem is dealt with internally. It's dealt with internally. Liposuction is a deviation from the pattern. Beauty is you, and you are beauty. Thank you.